If a race has no recorded history, its achievements would be forgotten and in time claimed by other groups. This is a quote from Carter G. Woodson, the father of black history. As a result of years of study and research, Dr. Woodson came to realize that the black man's past contributions had to be documented and taught. He found that many of the achievements by blacks were overlooked, ignored, and even surpassed by writers of history textbooks. As a young girl growing up in Springfield, Massachusetts in the 50s and 60s, the only thing my sisters and I learned about African Americans in our history classes was that we were slaves. The one paragraph or page devoted to slavery was a source of embarrassment to us. The white kids would turn and stare at us as if we were still part of the slave culture and knew all about it. We would slink down in our chairs and try to hide. Dr. Woodson's prime ambition was that young blacks would grow up with a firm knowledge of their ancestors. Let's see where Carter G. Woodson began. He was born in 1875 in New Canton, Virginia, to parents who had been enslaved. His family was very poor. They could not afford to send him to school regularly. When he was 17, he earned money for his education by working in the coal mine. This was a slow way to earn an education, but Carter was determined to get an education. Finally, at the age of 20, he had saved enough money to begin his formal education at Frederick Douglass High School in Huntington, Virginia. This was one of the few black high schools at this time. He received his diploma in just 2 years, as he was already self-taught in basic reading, writing, and arithmetic. He went on to earn his first college degree from Berea College in Kentucky, and then continued his education at the University of Chicago, obtaining another bachelor's degree and a master's degree. In 1912, he earned his Ph.D. in history from Harvard University, making him the second black American to graduate with a Ph.D. from Harvard. W.E.B. Du Bois was the first. In 1926, Dr. Woodson began the observance of Black History Week. It was to focus on the achievements of black Americans. He chose the month of February because it was close to the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln, who had been responsible for the Emancipation Proclamation, and African-American orator and abolitionist Frederick Douglass. During the next 50 years, Negro History Week grew in popularity. American cities celebrated in their own ways all over the country. Teachers began teaching notable contributions of African Americans during class time. I was one of those teachers. When I began teaching in a predominantly white school in 1970, I started teaching about African Americans to my first graders. The kids and parents loved it. The African American kids beamed. From then on, I incorporated our history into every school where I taught. In many instances, I made materials available for teachers in my schools to use, so they too could teach Black history lessons and do projects with their students. In 1976, Negro History Week became African American History Month, or Black History Month, with President Gerald Ford urging Americans to participate in its observance. Not just during February, but throughout the year, I talk to my students about having courage and leading like Harriet Tubman, having strength to face challenges like Rosa Parks, reaching goals and shooting for the stars like Mae Jemison, working hard to get a good education like Dr. Woodson and Dr. Du Bois, never giving up like Jackie Robinson, respecting others like Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., and many other attributes that many of our ancestors possessed to get them through life's journey. So as we celebrate our heritage this month and throughout the year, remember the man who started it all, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. There is so much more to learn about Dr. Woodson. Why not do some more research as a family?